By the 1980s, Vanga, who adopted the name Baba Vanga, had given thousands of accurate predictions and gained a reputation as the Nostradamus of the Balkans.
As 2025 progresses, the world faces increasing geopolitical uncertainty and the threat of escalating conflicts. Analysts point to ongoing tensions in hotspots such as Eastern Europe, South Asia, and the Middle East, where military skirmishes, border disputes, and strategic rivalries have already raised global alarms. Amid this turbulence, several prominent psychics and mystics have independently issued warnings, predicting that the year could bring not only conventional warfare but also technologically driven conflicts and widespread societal disruptions. Baba Vanga is one of them. With all of her predictions for 2025, she especially warns us about December, the end, but also the beginning of many things. The wealth of these zodiac signs. Yeah, what Vanga predicted is not just the warning, but also the hope for many. First, she mentioned Taurus. The benefits of the planet Venus, for Taurus, are thought to be the major reason for the progress, success, and stability. The last months of 2025 may be marked by professional advancement, improved financial situation, and social status. Old difficulties may start to disappear, making way for recognition and wealth. Shout out to Gemini for the second wealthy zodiac sign. The children of Gemini, who are ruled by Mercury, are going to welcome the positive changes from different aspects of life. Baba Vanga's prophecies point to a time of resolving issues, developing the personality, and being emotionally satisfied. Once impossible obstacles could easily vanish now, thus giving the Gemini natives a smooth road to stability and success. The last one she mentioned is Aquarius. Saturn's last phase is the reward. Aquarius has been suffering under Saturn, but he divided by she now has the right to reap the reward. The next few months could bring career advancements, financial security, and personal contentment. The universe seems to be signaling a period of rejuvenation and the start of long-awaited progress for Aquarius. The end yet to come. Baba Vanga's shocking predictions for 2025 are gaining attention worldwide. From political upheavals and global economic shifts to natural disasters and technological breakthroughs, these forecasts are sparking debates about the future of humanity, our preparedness, and the potential consequences of dramatic events. Among her most startling claims is that in 18 years, a caliph may rule in Rome, the city that houses the Vatican City. In Islam, the caliph is the ruler of the Muslim Ummah, which means community. Vanga also predicted that in 19 years, the face of Europe may transform drastically, with massive population losses. Her prophecies also suggested a great Muslim war. She said the conflict would begin with the Arab Spring in 2010 and primarily take place in Syria. She also warned that chemical weapons might be used against Europeans by the Islamic State, ISIS. According to Baba Vanga, Europe as we know it today will cease to exist by the end of 2044. She predicted that the continent would become almost empty after the systematic elimination of its population, leaving a wasteland nearly devoid of life. Aliens will attack the world. She previously predicted that aliens would visit Earth in 2025. The prediction has sparked a buzz on social media, with some users suggesting it might be coming true following the discovery of a mysterious object, 3I divided by Atlas, which is hurtling toward Earth. Scientists in Chile detected the mysterious object 3I divided by Atlas is moving at 1.3 lakh miles per hour and is estimated to be 10-20 kilometers wide, about the size of Manhattan City. The world is burning. Apparently, many of her predictions have come true long after her death. For instance, Baba Vanga is said to have foretold the death of Princess Diana, the sinking of the Russian submarine Kursk. She even allegedly foresaw her own death on 11 August 1996 at the age of 85. Even though the mystic is no more, she made predictions for every year up until 5079. For this 2025, her prophecy states, "When Syria falls, a great war between the West and the East will follow. In the spring, a conflict will ignite in the East, leading to a third world war, a war that will destroy the West. As events in Syria spiral, fears of this vision coming true are mounting. Recent developments in Aleppo, where insurgents have captured key installations, have drawn renewed attention to a dire prophecy made by Baba Vanga. Rebels from the Islamist Hayat Tahrir al-Sham group have declared the end of the era as they push deeper into Damascus, capturing Sednaya prison, a notorious symbol of Assad's regime. Aleppo has already fallen, and while the Syrian Defense Ministry denies claims of Hom's capture, the rebels' momentum remains unchecked. Key ally Hezbollah has withdrawn its forces, and thousands of Syrian soldiers have reportedly fled to Iraq. Panic grips Damascus, with residents scrambling for supplies and money, fearing what comes next. In a symbolic act, protesters in the city's suburbs have toppled statues of Assad's father, Hafez al-Assad. Before her death in 1996, Baba Vanga predicted that Syria's fall would act as a precursor to a global conflict. She warned, as soon as Syria falls, expect a great war between the West and the East. In the spring, a war in the East will begin, and there will be a third world war, a war in the East that will destroy the West. This cryptic message has left many speculating about the future of the Middle East and the broader consequences for global stability. The rapid escalation in Syria is now seen as a potential trigger for the catastrophic conflict she foresaw. As Assad's regime collapses, Syria's unrest could spill over into neighboring regions, risking wider conflict. Baba Vanga's prophecy, once dismissed as folklore, feels alarmingly relevant as the global community braces for what might follow. The fall of Aleppo to insurgents has wider implications, not just for Syria, but also for global peace. With its international airport now under militant control, Syria's situation could potentially exacerbate tensions among major powers, particularly as Russian-made weapons feature prominently in the insurgents' cache. This development has drawn international scrutiny, with concerns that the conflict may escalate beyond the region. Adding weight to the prophecy, Baba Vanga ominously stated, "Syria will fall at the feet of the winner, but the winner will not be the one." This cryptic remark has left many wondering about the true implications of her foresight. As the situation in Syria unfolds, the eerie relevance of Baba Vanga's predictions serves as a reminder of the delicate state of international relations. While skeptics may dismiss her words as coincidence, the alignment of her prophecy with recent events underscores the uncertainty. That's why Baba Vanga also supposedly predicted the outbreak of a conflict that would affect much of Europe in 2025. Like Nostradamus, her vision seemed to point to a war that could escalate to involve global powers. It is said that she warned about the destruction of the world as we know it, a phrase some interpret as referring to a conflict that could shift the balance of power and cause great loss. According to this interpretation, the conflict could drastically reduce the population in Europe and create a worldwide humanitarian crisis. Current tensions in Europe and Asia have led many to view this prediction as a serious warning, though the true scope of her words remains a topic of debate. Cure for cancer. The mystic predicted that new cures for diseases like Alzheimer's and cancer will be invented this year. It sounds unbelievable, but, nothing is impossible with the rapid development of world medicine. President Vladimir Putin recently said that Russian scientists are close to creating a vaccine for cancer that could soon be available to patients. He said, "We have reached a significant milestone in the development of cancer vaccines and next-generation immunomodulatory drugs. I hope that soon they will be effectively used as methods of individual therapy," he added, speaking at a Moscow forum on future technologies. However, he did not specify the types of cancer the proposed vaccines would target. Furthermore, recent developments have confirmed progress in the development of a lung cancer vaccine. The United Kingdom has allocated funding for 2 years of laboratory research and initial manufacturing of 3,000 doses for a DNA-based lung cancer vaccine, as stated in a press release from the University of Oxford, located in Oxford, England. But it cannot be denied that the world will have a positive outlook for cancer patients, and we can fully expect that miracle will happen in 2024. Natural disasters. Her words have been passed down orally, and she is now credited with several predictions for 2025 that point to profound global changes. Baba Vanga is also known for her visions of natural disasters that would affect the planet's climate and living conditions. She reportedly predicted that extreme weather events, including intense heat waves in Europe and desertification in parts of South America and Asia, would mark 2025. These interpretations align with modern concerns about climate change, which forecasts drought conditions and extreme heat in certain regions. Baba Vanga is also said to have predicted a wave of water that would cover vast areas in Asia, possibly referring to a tsunami or major flood. The possibility of such an event occurring in places like Bangladesh or Southeast Asia remains a critical concern today due to the risk of flooding in vulnerable areas. As we face these predictions, it is essential to approach them with a balance of curiosity and caution, acknowledging both their historical context and their potential relevance to today's global challenges. It is also said that Nostradamus mentions lands turning into deserts and submerged cities, which many associate with the effects of climate change in regions like Brazil, where severe droughts could occur, and coastal areas in Asia and southern Europe, which could be at risk of flooding. These interpretations reflect current concerns about global warming and how it might reshape the world in the coming decades. Human birth at laboratories. Baba Vanga is believed to have predicted that for 2025, human babies will be born in laboratories, where the color of their skin to their character can be decided. This means that the entire process of birth will be controlled. The rise of technology, according to Vanga, advancements in reproductive technology, have already made it possible for some couples to conceive through in vitro fertilization, IVF, and other assisted reproductive technologies. However, the idea of human reproduction becoming entirely artificial raises a number of ethical questions, such as whether it is right to create human life in a laboratory setting. Additionally, it is unclear what impact this could have on the population as a whole, and what unintended consequences could arise from such technology. Human reproduction becoming entirely artificial could have significant consequences for our population and society. It could potentially lead to a decrease in genetic diversity and a greater reliance on technology to create new life. It could also raise significant ethical questions about the creation and ownership of life, as well as the role of government and society in regulating and controlling such technology. The development of artificial reproductive technologies is an active area of research, and significant advancements have already been made in this field. For example, scientists have successfully grown mouse embryos in an artificial womb, and human embryos have been successfully grown in vitro. While there are still many technical and ethical challenges to be addressed, these advancements suggest that the development of entirely artificial human reproduction is not outside the realm of possibility. The development of artificial body parts and prosthetics is an active area of research, and significant advancements have already been made in this field. For example, scientists have developed brain-controlled prosthetic arms, and some artificial organs, such as hearts, are already in use. While the development of entirely artificial bodies and organs is still a long way off, these advancements suggest that the potential for such technology is not out of the question. The future of AI. Will it bring dark days ahead? The seer warns that a technological breakthrough will shatter our understanding of reality itself. But with this power comes an unprecedented danger. She foresees a major breakthrough in the realm of quantum computing, bringing an unprecedented technological revolution. This advancement is set to shake up various sectors, from finance and healthcare to cybersecurity, all thanks to the mind-blowing capabilities of quantum computers. The rapid advance of technology is transforming civilization in ways no one expected, in ways that are exciting and scary, ways we are only beginning to understand. Tech seems on the verge of recreating human beings into something new, something altered, bionic, computerized, robotic, superhuman. The internet spiderweb has descended and covered nearly all elements of civilization. The smartphone, smartwatch, and smart home are growing into the smart world. Some people who are closely following developments in the field of artificial intelligence are focusing exclusively on the crises that the world of the future may hold. You know, not only AI, but any development can be both a poison and a cure. Derrida developed such a critical reading based on the ancient Greek term pharmakon. If you drink too much water, it can also be poisonous and lead to death. To summarize, the crises that this technology will bring are inherent to the concept of development. Otherwise, it would not be conceivable. Therefore, if you follow the progress of artificial intelligence technologies, you can imagine millions of negative possibilities, and you will probably be right about some of them. However, optimism and pessimism are a matter of temperament. Due to the subjectivity of the situation, there can be both crises and opportunities. Good and bad are human value judgments. It is a difficult discussion to justify why the future world will be really bad as a result of these technological developments. Even if you say, we are becoming cyborgs, one could ask, okay, but why is that bad and by what criteria? In conclusion, the future will unfold as it may, neither inherently good nor bad. Because history is already constructing itself moment by moment, what exists today is highly likely to persist tomorrow just as it is. More positively, Baba Vanga prophesied that substantial advances in human telepathy would be made by science, allowing individuals to speak to one another via thinking. This innovation has the ability to transform how we communicate with one another and open up new avenues for interpersonal relationships. She forecasted that researchers will successfully grow human organs in labs, opening the door for groundbreaking medical improvements. Vanga continued that an enigmatic, unbounded, and clean energy source will be found that could revolutionize how we power our planet. Geopolitical changes. Baba Vanga's predictions for 2025 also encompass significant geopolitical changes. She foresaw shifts in global power dynamics that could reshape international relations and influence the balance of power. Emerging powers could rise to prominence once dominant nations see their influence wane. These changes will impact global trade, economic policies, and diplomatic relations. Countries must navigate these shifts carefully to maintain stability and foster cooperation. Baba Vanga's prophecies suggest that some nations may form new alliances, while others could experience internal strife and political upheaval. The predicted geopolitical changes may also affect global security. Shifting power dynamics could increase the risk of conflicts and tensions. Nations must prioritize diplomacy and conflict resolution to avoid escalation and promote peace. In addition to power shifts, Baba Vanga predicted changes in global leadership. New leaders may emerge with different visions and policies, influencing the direction of their countries and the world. These leaders could be crucial in addressing global challenges such as climate change, economic inequality, and social justice. Baba Vanga's predictions for geopolitical changes in 2025 highlight the need for adaptability and resilience. As the world evolves, nations must work together to navigate these changes and create a more stable and prosperous future. The weird bird virus. For 2025, Vanga warned us the strange virus will attack human life so bad. Birds have been affected by numerous viruses in the past, such as avian flu, which can be transmitted to humans. It is possible that a new virus could emerge that would have a significant impact on bird populations. The potential consequences of such an event would depend on the severity of the virus and the ability of humans to contain its spread. A dangerous virus affecting bird populations could potentially have significant ecological and economic consequences. It could disrupt food supplies, as well as impact other animal populations that rely on birds for food or pollination. Additionally, it could potentially lead to the spread of the virus to humans, which could have significant health consequences. Bird populations have been affected by numerous viruses in the past, and the potential for future outbreaks is always a concern. However, the identification and monitoring of potential bird viruses is an active area of research, and scientists are working to develop new vaccines and other preventative measures to protect both birds and humans. A silent separation. Among all of Baba Vanga's chilling prophecies, one stands out not for its dramatic events, but for its eerie subtlety. She didn't only warn of wars, disasters, or political upheaval. She spoke of a quiet, intimate, and deeply personal event, a spiritual separation that would quietly unravel the fabric of human relationships and existence itself. Baba Vanga foretold a time when love alone would no longer be enough to keep people together. She said, "A time will come when love will not be enough to hold people together. Each soul will walk its own path and some will vanish." This silent separation is not a physical rupture but a profound spiritual divide, growing in the hearts of people, tearing apart families, friendships, and communities in ways that many cannot fully comprehend or explain. In today's world, we can already see signs of this prophecy unfolding. Families live under the same roof but emotionally drift apart. Parents find themselves unable to reach their children, siblings stop communicating, and spouses live as strangers despite sharing a life. Baba Vanga's warning that the home will be full of voices but hearts will be empty. The bloodline will no longer bind, echoes in this growing emotional isolation. The ties that once seemed unbreakable are unraveling, not through anger or conflict, but through apathy, misunderstanding, and a growing spiritual disconnect. This subtle breakdown extends beyond families to friendships and social bonds, where ideological differences and fear of the unknown push people apart. Baba Vanga described this process as a sorting of souls, saying, "There will be a sorting, not by hand, but by heart." This means that people who once shared laughter and memories can find themselves on separate spiritual paths, their connection dissolving because their hearts no longer resonate in harmony. This spiritual schism is not limited to individuals but is spreading on a global scale. While the world's attention is often consumed by political conflicts, natural disasters, and economic crises, Baba Vanga's vision points to a more insidious dividia, cosmic sorting of humanity between those awakening to higher truths and those remaining asleep in darkness. She spoke of one table, two realities, one bed, two dreams, one world, two paths. This invisible line will cut through nations, cities, and even families, creating a division not based on geography or ethnicity, but on spiritual choice. The separation she described will distinguish those who embrace growth, love, and consciousness from those trapped in fear, denial, and stagnation. It is a division of the soul, the most fundamental divide possible, which many will fail to notice until it has already deeply taken root. The emotional cost of this awakening is immense. Many who begin to perceive this divide experience profound loneliness and alienation. As Baba Vanga warned, those who see the truth will feel alone. But the silence is not punishment, it is protection. This loneliness is a necessary stage for spiritual growth, a sign that one's soul is stepping away from the old systems of thought and belief that no longer serve its evolution. It is a silent call to prepare for the coming transformation. Those who remain stagnant in their spiritual journey, those who refuse to evolve, may find themselves cut off not only from others but from existence itself. The separation is a cleansing process, setting apart the awakened souls for what lies ahead. Ultimately, Baba Vanga believed that this silent separation was a necessary precursor to a greater divine reckoning. The souls of light must be set apart from those who walk the path of darkness. However, this separation will not be marked by dramatic signs or loud announcements. It will occur softly, quietly, in the background, until the moment when the choice can no longer be reversed. As she put it, in the end, each heart will choose its master. That choice will echo in eternity. This is a profound reminder that the choices we make every day, whether to embrace truth or fear, love or indifference, determine which side of this invisible divide we will find ourselves on. In this moment of growing spiritual separation, it's vital to ask yourself, where do you stand? Have you felt the subtle pull away from old beliefs and relationships? Have you noticed the increasing tension, the emotional distance, or the sense that you no longer belong in familiar places? These feelings are not accidental, but are signs that your soul is being called to awaken, to walk a higher path. Baba Vanga's prophecy is clear. This silent separation has already begun, and the coming years will deepen this divide. The question is not if it will happen, but whether you will be among those who vanish into the shadows of spiritual inertia or among those who walk courageously toward the light of transformation. The end of the world. Apparently, the latest predictions have raised concern among her followers and the public, as they predict that the apocalypse will begin in 2025. The apocalypse is anticipated to begin in 2025, despite the fact that humanity will not be completely eradicated until 5079, as stated in the timeline of her predictions. Besides, Baba Vanga went on to state that a conflict in Europe would devastate the continent's population by 2025. The prophecy is worrying the people, particularly in light of the ongoing conflicts and tensions in geopolitics. Following Vanga, this is the timeline to the end of humanity. In 2025, the inciting incident that kicks off the ultimate end of humanity will be an unspecified conflict in Europe, which will devastate the continent's population. Then, when we come to 2028, humanity needs more energy. To do this, they will manage to explore Venus to find new energy sources. This may be one of the most unbelievable parts of this timeline, since Venus is essentially an inhospitable hellscape with an atmosphere so acidic that nothing could survive, and no space probe has ever managed to survive more than a couple of hours. In 2033, climate change is very dangerous, and that shouldn't be understated. However, Baba Vanga supposedly predicted that at this point, the polar ice caps would melt and sea levels would rise drastically worldwide. Ever see the old episode of The Simpsons where Russia flips a switch and the Soviet Union suddenly out of nowhere reforms? The Berlin Wall shoots back up out of the ground, and a zombie Vladimir Lenin smashes out of his crypt, groaning about crushing capitalism? Well, it may not be like this exactly, but Baba Vanga's alleged prediction claims that at this point in 2076, communism will not just be back, but will take over the entire world. In 2130, skipping ahead to the next century, humanity will, at this point, supposedly make contact with aliens. What could go wrong? Climate change in 2170 is going to get worse, and at this point, a drought is supposedly going to spread across the world. In 3005, perhaps it's due to human colonization, or perhaps it's aliens. Regardless, at this point, there will supposedly already have been some kind of civilization on Mars, and they will fight a war with Earth. In 3797, at this point, due to any number of reasons, the Earth will supposedly no longer be able to support life. Humans will allegedly leave their homeworld at this point and move on to parts unknown. This is it. The end gonna happen in 5079, the grand finale. And of course, with as vague of a prediction as this is, if this was even a real prediction at all, we know nothing about it. All we know is that the world will end. Yes, the world will supposedly already be uninhabitable by this point, so what this refers to is honestly anyone's guess. Does it go out with a bang or with a whimper? Is there a great epic battle or a rather anticlimactic incident? Keep in mind that this is all patently ridiculous. Yes, Baba Vanga was a real person, and yes, she has amassed quite a following and legend around her. However, since no one wrote down her predictions, no one knows if any prediction attributed to her these days is genuine. And even if it was, no one knows if the prediction would be true. But we need to take a note at this. Although there are many prophets who make predictions about the end of the world, in reality, God has said that no one knows the day or hour of his coming, but God. This prediction of the blind prophet reminds us a verse of Bible. When you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places, and famines. These are the beginning of birth pains. Doubtless, somewhere people will again start to use such disasters as signs that we are living in the last days. Or, to put it more accurately, since the New Testament consistently insists the last days began with Christ's first coming, they will insist that we are living in the last days of the last days. Wars and rumors of wars should not alarm God's people. The end is still to come. Earthquakes and famines are merely the beginning of birth pangs. In other words, just as labor pains remind a pregnant mother that there is a baby inside her that the body wants to bring into the world, so do these various earthly disasters remind believers that Christ will return, ending human history as we now know it. But how unreliable those labor pains can be, sometimes coming months ahead of the actual due date, sometimes weeks in advance. They remind us that we are getting closer to the climactic day, but we knew that already just because of the passing of time. Vanga also said that in 2025, Earth could encounter a different path around the sun. This is a highly interesting prediction and one that could have far-reaching effects on our lives. Mark 13:32-33 says, "But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. Be on guard, be alert. You do not know when that time will come." When the Lord tells us no one knows the day or the hour, he is referring to the truth that nobody knows when his second coming will be. Many individuals throughout time have tried to predict the second coming of Christ, yet there is no way a person can predict the Lord's second coming. The second coming of Christ is often confused with the rapture of the church. Many scholars blend these two events of eschatology to be the same event. However, the second coming of Christ and the rapture are two distinct events. The rapture will occur before the second coming of Christ, because the second coming will not occur until the end of the 7-year tribulation. None of us can predict the time when all of these future events will take place. The rapture is the catalyst for the rest of the events of eschatology, as believers will be taken up to be with the Lord prior to the 7-year tribulation. After the 7-year tribulation will be the second coming of Christ. During this time, Christ will return to fight in the Battle of Armageddon. You can read Revelation chapter 19 verses 11-16 for more. In the Battle of Armageddon, the Lord will defeat the Antichrist and the false prophet. Jesus will rule victorious over evil and destroy all those who went against him. The second coming will be drastically different from his first coming. The Lord has already given us the opportunity to place faith in him through the knowledge of the gospel. Yet at his second coming, he will bring the full promises of our salvation to fruition. After the end of the 7-year tribulation, Jesus will reign as king for 1,000 years, and then he will establish the new heaven and new earth. When God establishes the new heaven and new earth, the world will be exactly as God first intended it to be in the Garden of Eden. No longer will there be any death, pain, or sadness. Instead, there will only be happiness, joy, and life. The second coming of Christ is something we should all look forward to, as it will be a major event in eschatology. If you are presently already a believer, you can be confident in the knowledge that you will return with Christ at his second coming and help fight in the Battle of Armageddon All believers who have died or been taken up in the rapture prior to the 7-year tribulation will return to Christ to fight in the battle of Armageddon. While this may be frightening, we can trust in the Lord and in his future plans. Every year, Earth passes the sun around 584 million miles. This journey is an epic elliptical one, as it is shaped like an oval instead of a circle. The exact shape of the oval is determined by the forces of other planets. Although Earth's orbit can change due to these forces, these changes only happen in a cyclical manner. Even subtle changes can have severe implications on the Earth. It could cause extreme radiation levels and soaring temperatures to affect our planet. It's also possible that the orbital shift suggested by Baba Vanga could be caused by an impact from an asteroid. Is this a sign to the end? Let's wait and see.